Welcome, welcome. So tonight we're going to start off with, a feeling we get sometimes when we look into the mirror. Just kind of watch this and think about that. It'll only take 30 seconds and then we'll get started. But just think about the feeling you get sometimes when you look into the mirror. So this is the reason why we want to look our best, so that we don't scare ourselves. Okay, I love that video. I probably watched that video 100 times, but it's just too funny. So tonight we're sewing. What did I do with the envelope? Oh, I don't know where I put it. Anyway, doesn't matter. 924. Oh, here it is, where I could find it. 924. Polo's best top. So Polo is Ralph Lauren. This is a top. This is a pretty classic top for Ralph Lauren. I did a couple versions just so you could see the different fabrics and the different ways you could make it up. This is striped. This fabric is using 5472. And I love this. And I had kind of seen it one done in a stripe, which is obviously what gave me the idea. And not much of what I do is original, but where they matched it. So you can see that you don't really see that collar. It's just kind of built in. So I love that. And then the one I have on in a print, and the print, it's a panel print, 5561. And what you can see is it's, you can just place the pieces all over the place. They don't have to match. I kind of used one panel in the front. I used one panel in the back. I just kind of did it crazy, however I wanted it to be. The sleeves match. I kind of put a stripe down the sleeves. It was just fun. It was just fun to play with. But this is the sweater set with this beautiful neck inserted. I love it. I just think it's really flattering. I think it's very easy to make. Some of you get a little nervous because when you ask me, I say, well, this bottom edge is just like a welt pocket. And then as soon as I say welt pocket, you all just kind of freeze. Like, I can't do a welt pocket. You can. It's very easy to do. I'm going to show it to you tonight. We'll do it close up on the camera on the sewing machine so that you can see very well, and the goal is to make it very easy. Our other goal obviously is to raise funds for PBS because we're about 10% short still, and we have another like 45 days, so we have to get down on our knees and please beg, beg, beg. So we need your support. If you've given, please don't give more, but there's so many of you who could just buy a pattern or buy the DVD series who haven't given. I know who watch, and if it's like an annual amount, to buy the series, you get the free pattern, it would be a great thing. Fit to Stitch Sew Series 11 is what we just did and we're still working on, and we're gonna sew it tonight. So hopefully we'll just get there, hopefully. But we appreciate you being here. Okay, so we're gonna start with a couple things. I'm just gonna use a little sleeve board from my ironing board tonight. I'm gonna iron on that. Because there's no big ironing that needs to be done. You don't really need a whole ironing board. This is the new serger. We have started a partnership with Plano Sewing Center, and Plano Sewing Center is a Baby Lock dealer. Not with Baby Lock at all, just with the dealership, and it's Baby Lock sanctioned. They had to get approval and everything. But the goal is that, and we put it on the PBS site, if you look on the PBS site, every sewing machine, serger sewing machine, we put all those sewing machines up there that are eligible. If you purchase them, they're allowed by Baby Lock to be sold online. We're not selling them, we're simply recommending, but we give you a free pattern with every one you purchase. So like this little serger, I used it tonight. It's brand new. It's the little Vibrant, Baby Lock Vibrant, and it's only $3.99. I thought that was a great, and a free pattern. So if you've kind of been holding off to get it, I've been looking and looking for a really great little serger that really holds up well, that really sews well, that you could do inexpensively, and I'm going to highly recommend this. But you can't get it from us. You have to call the store directly. They'll deal with it. They'll send it to you. But they will tell us that you bought it. We will get a percent, and we will also send you a pattern. Yay, what a deal. So that's the good news. And then I'm using my regular sewing machine, and we've got the cameras hooked up, and we've got somebody on camera, and we've got somebody on questions. So as you go along, if we go along and we have questions, please do so. So in these two cases, in both cases, what I did is I sewed all the pieces the same. There's only 4 pieces. There's the front, the back, the sleeve, and then the yoke or neckline, collar, whatever you want to call it. And so only those 4 pieces is what we have. But tonight what I did is I'm doing an orange body, and the fabric is 5556. I'm going to put those instructions over here. And then what I decided to do is a contrasting collar. I thought this was really cute. This is 5557. Okay, that way also I decided that upon sewing you could see it much better when we start to sew that contrast. Okay, so we're going to get started. Any questions to start? Are we good to start? No questions to begin with? We're grateful you're here. We're glad we're in the AC. I decided in Dallas, Texas, where it's 100, I don't know, 105, whatever it is. It's been that way for a long time. It isn't possible to get through a summer without the air conditioning breaking down, no matter how preventative you get. So just know that we did have the AC check, though, beforehand. Okay. Do we get to choose which pattern ships? Yes. When you buy the serger, you can choose any pattern. You can choose any PBS pattern, any pattern you want. We're happy to send it to you. And what you'll actually do is you'll actually tell the store. You'll call. So on our Fit to Stitch site, we have a link to Plano Sewing Center. And then Plano Sewing Center is who you'll purchase it from. They're great. They've been around for a long time. I would not partner with them if I didn't think that they were very reputable. I know they are. And then they will let us know who purchased a machine, and then we'll contact you and we'll ship you a pattern. Okay? There's no transaction through Silhouette Patterns, but honest, it's a big help for us, for the show. It's a big help for us. So we really appreciate that. And with sergers, you know, online now, and sergers and sewing machine, these are not real high-end machines. There's this Baby Lock is $3.99, and then they have the Air Threader, and I think it's like $11.99, the bottom of the line Air Threader. This one is manual, but also they have, what was I going to say? Oh, they have, Baby Lock has a lot, all the companies do. They have a lot of online instruction videos now. So if you're looking for how to use a serger, you can just go online. Baby Lock actually has instructional videos online. So it's really not about you need a dealer to service it, because any dealer will service it in warranty anyway. So I think it's a real thing that you can buy online. And somebody accused me of, I don't know, not having the prices. All the prices are online. If not on our site, because we're not selling them, but if you click the second link to take you to the Baby Lock, all those prices are there. Okay, so enough about all that. I really do want to mention that, and I appreciate y'all listening. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with column number 1. And column number 1 is the front. And as you all know, we have French darts. This is French darts. French darts don't even show. They're out of the way. I just dropped my scissors. That's not a good sign. So we have 2 French darts. Because when we moved the machines here, I wanted to make sure that we had the machines were working. I did one of the French darts. So we'll do the other French dart. I've got my machine at 3.5, and I line up the edges, and off we go. The beginning of a shirt, yay! Okay, easy peasy. Everybody knows how to make French darts. Everybody knows why we put darts in. I had an email the other day, you guys, from a quilting, I don't know, big quilting show. They wanted me to come teach at a quilting show. Then I wonder, what am I going to teach at a quilting show? Fitting of a quilt? No. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. Okay, so now we have 2 darts. Yay! Okay, so now we're going to, so I'm dealing with I'm going to put the back on. At the let's go to the next column. Sorry. Oh, no, the first column. Sorry, the bottom of the first column. We're still doing the shoulder seams. That's my extra fabric. So because when I cut this out, I cut right sides together, because sometimes I think it's confusing, I put a pin on the right side at center back, so that when I open it up for a minute, and I know it's only for a minute, but I know which side is the right side and where the middle is. And you'll want to keep the middle. You want to keep the pin there, because when you do the collar, you'll want the center back of the collar at the center back. So we're going to do right sides together here of the shoulder seam, and I'm going to do both shoulder seams. And we're going to serge that. So I'm just going to sneak over here. And I know it's hard to see when we're sewing on the serger, you guys. Not much fun is happening on the serger. All the action is going to be happening on the sewing machine, so that's why we put the second camera on the sewing machine. And because I'm dealing with orange, this is like a, kind of a bright orange, tangerine orange, whatever. I'm using a red thread because when it blends so well, it blends really well to use a red. So you typically, when I sew on orange, you'll want to use a thread that's darker than the orange, and red works really, really well. All right, so both shoulder seams. Isn't this fun? We've already got a shirt almost, sort of, kind of. Okay, see that? And then I'm also going to mark the middle of this front section, and I'm going to mark the right side of that also. Okay. I'm not sure why my scissors keep jumping to the ground, but anyway, here we go. All right, 2 French darts, 2 shoulder seams. Shoulder seams get pressed to the back. My shoulder is not exactly even there, so I'm just going to trim it up. You don't have to trim it up, but I'm going to. I should have aligned that seam a little bit closer, or maybe when I cut out, I wasn't exactly right on. Okay, easy enough? Okay, so let's go to the next column, and that's our second column. And we're going to see that we're preparing the collar. And that's when we're going to go to this other piece. You guys, I'm not sure how I could be so unorganized when there's only 4 pieces, but I think I stuck it somewhere so that I wouldn't lose it. It's on my lap. I just knew I put it somewhere where I wouldn't lose it. Okay, so when you cut this collar out, this is so fun because it's really simple. You have a fold line. You cut one on the fold. The fold ends up being this outside edge. So you don't have to sew that. You don't have to do anything. All you're going to do is wrap this around. The fold stays on the inside because it's the inside. You're going to wrap it around and you're going to overlap it. And you're going to leave a seam allowance width. Now, I just serged the ends. I only did that so that you could kind of see that those were the ends. So when I overlap, I leave a 3/8 inch seam allowance here, and I leave a 3/8 inch seam allowance here. Then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the center. Because I marked the center of my shirt, it just kind of helps me a little bit. So just fold that in half, put a pin in the middle. Okay, and that's what the collar's kind of going to look like there. It's going to look like that. Now, if you're using a one-way stretch, you want to make sure that the stretch is going around the neck edge because you want this to stretch. And then, of course, going around the body. In this case, like when I did this rib, I had choice because the rib, it was stretched in both directions, and the same with what I had on. I had stretch in both directions, so I could turn it any way. But if you only have stretch in one direction, you want to make sure that stretch is going around the neck edge. Otherwise, it's going to feel really tight around your neck. It's going to feel maybe like a brace, but anyway. Okay, so that's ready to go. That's going to kind of be the bottom of my welt pocket. If I'm comparing it to a welt pocket, here is the section that it's going onto. And so what I'm going to do is right in these corners, and I know y'all hate this part, but just clip a little, like a 1/4 inch in, just a 1/4 inch. Bam. Bam, right at the corners. It's marked on the pattern, and you're just going to cut a little angular cut. Everybody got that? The collar is going to go on just like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is put these right sides together, line up your center pins. Look at that. See, my center pins are going right together. Because you've got 2 center pins, you only need 1 now, so take 1 away and just leave 1 there. But still leave 1 in there. It's good just to have that center pin done. And then what's going to happen is this is going to come out and align to that cut. And I'm going to take that pin and put it here. Can they get this on? You got this? And this one's going to come around to this cut. So what you're going to see by cutting, and I'm going to show you, you're going to see it as I'm stitching it, is that, and I did this again purposely with 2 different colors so you can see it, is you'll notice that the cut and the end of that collar is right at the same place. Let me go to this other camera and we'll be able to see it. And you're also going to stitch with the cut side up. So for instance, my cut side is going to be my orange, and the print is going to be down because I didn't cut it. And then I'm going to do one, as I turn the corner, I'm going to just start to stitch. I'm going to start to pin one little section. Okay, so I'm starting right here where I have not, this is like around the neck edge. This right here is part of the neck edge. I'm going to start, whoops, my foot's on the wrong pedal. I'm going to start right here. And you're going to just stitch 3/8, and you're going to stitch right down. You can see the cut, right there to the cut. Bam, perfect, perfect, right there. And it won't have to be exact. It can be one before, it can be one after. They can see this, okay? Then you're going to pivot right there. And this is where you're stitching horizontal. This is like the welt pocket, kind of the bottom of the welt pocket. And you're just stitching across, 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 across. This is the very bottom of that section. Keep it all lined up. You can see there I'm up just a little bit. Just keep that straight. And then you can see again to the cut. And right there at the cut, don't stitch a fold. Just right there you can leave it. You can shift everything around. And this goes up the neck edge. Now we're only going to do this little part right now, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. And I go back to 3/8 because I'm going to take it out of the machine and I'm going to look at it. And then what I want to do is I just want to make sure that everything is straight, nice, I don't know, whatever you want to say it to be. See, look how perfect it's perfect. It's just perfect. So now what it does is it gives me the opportunity to mark the center back of this collar, which I'm going to fold in half and mark it. And I'm going to line it up to the center back pin that I put at the center back of the neck. Is this cool? And it's so simple, you guys. It just it shouldn't really be done on a serger because it's just, needs to be exact. But now what I can do is I'm going to line these two pins up. Again, there's two pins there. I'm going to take one away. And how you know what it is it's the folded edge to the folded, it's the raw edge to the raw edge. So you won't get it confused. So here I'm just going to, you can see that I'm going to get and the neck is going to need a little bit of stretch. The neck, the collar is going to be shorter than the neck edge. So I'm going to pull that up like that. And you can put a pin kind of wherever you feel like it just needs to hold it in place. But you want to pin the center back first and then just stretch this to fit to where you've sewn it to this first part. And it will ease beautifully in place. There's that. And there's that. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other side just to make sure, because the hard part's done, the bottom part's done, and all this is securing the collar now the rest of the way. So I'll do the other side. And again, as long as you've got the center backs pinned and you know that the collar is there, I'm just going to stretch the rest. The collar actually has a shoulder marking on it. So you can clip that it doesn't really matter if that is lined up exactly, but you can clip that just to make sure if you feel like you want to, if you're a little bit nervous that the parts won't line up. Okay, so I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to pull that to adjust. Okay, a couple more pins, and then I'll just kind of show you so you can make sure you understand where we're at. Is there any questions that are coming up, or do you think they got it? Okay, so here it is. Here's see, this is the part I did first, and then what I did is I just went from here across up. so that now you can see all I'm doing is sewing this all on. Because that's just, I'm going to actually do that on the serger. I'm not even going to do that on the sewing machine because it just, there's nothing exact. The only thing I would do on the sewing machine is this right here, so it's really nice and clean across the bottom. And as long as you're using a knit to a knit, you're good shape. All right, do you understand the squares before because I'm going to kind of, I mean not the squares, but those little cut edges, because I'm going to delete them. Remember that the orange is being cut, so you want to stitch with the orange up. And so I came down, turned right there at that cut, and turned again. This is really like a lot like a shawl collar. It's exactly like a shawl collar. To me, it's not really like a welt pocket. I think it's easier. It's a shawl collar. And remember, a shawl collar doesn't have to be exact. All right, so when I'm finished, I'm going to serge over this. But right now, I'm just going to start serging all the way around the neck edge. So we'll start at the bottom, and we'll come all the way around. Did everybody saw that stitching there? And this, what this is going to do is just literally just stitch up that side, kind of clean up that side. Just be careful. You want to make sure you don't. I don't care how good of a serger you have. I don't think I've ever seen a serger that likes pins. Sewing machines are a different story, but you can see we go around the neck edge. And y'all know I'm not a real pin fan, but I would definitely pin this because you have easing, and you want to make sure that that easing is evenly divided all the way around. So this is something, and if you're more comfortable, you know, pinning, stitching on the sewing machine first, but typically this area is just, it's almost like a straightaway. You know, you've rounded the curve and now you're on a straightaway so you can speed. That's kind of what it reminds me of. That's another shoulder seam, so I want to make sure that's going to the back. Your shoulder seams are going to go to the back. I'm coming around the other side. All right, and here's the other place where I started. So we're going to merge those together. And I don't have to get close to my stitching. It's not going to make that much difference. And then just to clean it up a little bit on the bottom, I'm going to serge along the bottom, which was the very first place I started stitching. And I'll show you the inside here in a minute. I would not ever try to do like a shawl collar on a sewing machine, on a serger. It's too, the stitching has to just be too exact. I wouldn't recommend it. It doesn't mean you can't. It means you're just better than me. Okay, so let me show you from the inside here where we're at. You can see there's the collar on the inside. And that's where I started from. You can see I caught that with the serger, so I'm actually going to clip that. And then I'm just going to press all that down. I'm actually not going to press right now, but I can press all that down. Isn't that cool? And then from the outside, there it is. And see, this is the fun part. This is the part where you can try it on. And you can say, look how cool this is already. Guess I don't need to do that, but anyway, that's what I would do if I was in my sewing room by myself. Very pretty. I love the contrasting collar, and I wanted to make something orange, so this is really fun because I think it'll be adorable with like white capris. Okay, any questions on that? That's the hardest part, you guys. The rest of the part, we're just sewing a set-in sleeves. We're just sewing a sweater, a knit top, number 195. Okay, the two little clip slats are at the two corners of the collar front. They're actually not the collar, just let's get technical here a little bit. They're actually at the blouse front, or top front. So if you look at the pattern, and I'll get the pattern here, and it says it on the pattern. So here's the pattern front, and you clip. So it's basically the width of this opening, you're going to clip there because that's where you're turning. Okay? So it's not on the collar at all. That collar was this piece right here, And this piece right here just doesn't need a whole lot. This is just your, you don't clip anything on that. Okay. Do you trim the serger tails or weave them into the stitching? I don't ever weave them into the stitching. I always clip them. I don't want the extra thread. I don't want the thickness. But that's probably a really, certainly doesn't matter. It's your call. Okay, so you saw how, now also on the directions on column 2, you can see that front piece that I just showed you where you're clipping. It's on the screen, yeah. See, that's where you're clipping. You're clipping on the front piece, and there's a close, that's a good picture. And then when I overlap that collar, you can also see that really there. You can see really closely how there's a little, you don't want that fold of the collar to get caught into the seam allowance. See, so this fold of this collar, you want to be free. You don't want it to get clipped. You don't want it to get stitched into here, so you want to leave that little gap opening. And then you sew like I did, and then you sew around. It's a good picture. Okay, so the next column, okay. Why didn't you stay stitch the cut corners? I just don't think it's necessary. I mean, if I was, stay stitching is typically for raveling. I'm dealing with a knit. A knit's not going to go anywhere. I'm sitting down. I'm not like packing and going on vacation. And, I've noticed a lot of women overhandle fabric, but you notice that I took it right out after it was cut and I sewed it. So you're not overhandling it. The stay stitching, I think, is overkill. And I think it's for fabrics that are maybe really, really, really ravelly. But for me, if it was really, really, really ravelly, I would fuse it. I think stay stitching is maybe a concept that just kind of rethink why do you do that? Other than the fact that the directions tell you kind of why do you do it. And I don't think you need it. In this case, especially, I don't think you need it. Okay, so we're on the third column. Is that cool? Okay, and let's go ahead and we're going to set those sleeves in. So again, when I cut out the sleeve, I've cut it out right sides together. I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to put my pin on the right side. So the pin indicates the right side of the sleeve, and it indicates the center of the sleeve. And the center is where it should line up to the shoulder seam, unless you've got an adjustment. And I always just serge the bottom of the sleeve first. I'm not sure why. I think I feel like I'm one step closer to being finished somehow if I serge them. And yeah, I do always clip in them. I noticed that I was teaching these 2 young girls to sew for PBS. I know I mentioned this to you. And everybody has their own habits, and so I didn't want to teach them habits. I wanted to teach them just real factual principles, because my habits are mine. They'll develop their own habits. But one thing they didn't do is they didn't cut their tails, and I noticed that it was kind of like, you got to cut your tails, but you don't have to cut your tails. It's totally up to you. All right, so I just finished off the bottom just for fun. And I'm going to put one sleeve in, and you guys know how to do this. Ask any questions that you have. I'm just going to do right sides together. Make sure you have a right side. And in this particular case, it will not matter, but in some cases it will matter. So my 2 sides of my fabric are very similar, and I don't have a forward sleeve adjustment. So my sleeve is the same, both forward and backwards. Can a sewing machine needle be used in a serger? Yeah, they're the same size needles. 70-10. 70-10 is typically a fabric needle. 80-10 is a little heavier. 90-10 is usually what they use for denim, except they say denim, but denim is so lightweight these days that it's kind of misleading. I put 70-10 on all my machines, and I leave 70-10 on all the time. That's the only needle I sew with. I think the lady who's the Schmetz lady would probably be very upset with that comment, but since she's not here, I'll just tell you what I think, and then you guys can decide. Just try it out. I don't change needles with every project, or like they say, every 5 hours or whatever they say. I wait till my needle breaks, and once my needle breaks, I obviously change it. My French darts always seem to pucker at the tip. What is the secret to prevent this? Are you starting at the tip? Start at the tip. See, like, look how flat that lays. So if you start at the tip and just stitch very gradual, I think the reason I start at the tip is because I can get a more gradual alignment to the dart. I think it looks better. And then just press, get a nice press on it. Okay, so I'm past the center part, and I'm just going on down the rest. And when you're doing a sleeve, kind of look ahead. You can see that I'm going to line up here, and then just pull the two there to meet. Pretty easy. See, on the next sew-along we have, I'm going to put these camera guys behind. They've watched this so many times, I think they can do it now. But we'll see. All right, there we go. We've got one sleeve in. And whenever I do a sleeve, you know, I think it's just habit or whatever, but sleeves, once they're put in, they're so fun to look at. Like, look how pretty that sleeve is. It's so nice looking. All right, so we'll do the other one. And you know what? This is like a jigsaw puzzle. You only have 4 pieces, though. So we've got 3 pieces put together, and this is our last piece that we're putting on. And then we'll press it all, and then we'll stitch it all together. Make sure my iron's on. But anyway. All right, we're okay with questions? You guys, I'm going on a camping trip, and I'm going to make a camping wardrobe. And it's going to be the cutest camping wardrobe you've ever seen. So I'm going to start doing it on Thursday nights. I decided that no matter if I was going to Paris or if I was going to a beach, no matter where I was going, I would make clothes. So if I'm going camping, I'm going to make clothes. And I'm going to make some really fun clothes. And I've already got some really cute ideas. So I'll show them to you in the next Thursdays for the next few Thursday nights. All right, so again with the sleeve, once you've hit that middle section, the name of the game with the sleeve is you just want to make sure your easing is consistent. It's just no different than the collar that we were doing. Okay, I'm going to get this in, and then we have to press. And we can press all the sections, and then we can finish. I'm not one to press after everything I do, but I'm also not one to ignore pressing because I think it's very, very important, especially when we come to the sleeves. Okay, so I'm going to get up and watch all these wires, and I'm going to come in and press. There's a couple things we want to press. Thank you, Mr. Camera. Okay, so here's the dart that I stitched. And I know I'm on a little ironing board because I felt like it's hard for you all to see everything when we've got those big iron, you know, everything's so big. It's hard for the camera to get around. So we thought if we did smaller, it would be easier. So just pull out the dart and just press. And I'm going to flip that over so that you can see how even that lays. You see, even though it's a dart, how nice and flat that lays. Okay? All right, then the next thing I'm going to press is I'm going to press the bottom of this collar. And you're going to press that seam down. You certainly could top stitch it if you wanted to. That's just going to get pressed down, but not a big deal either way. These are my serger threads that came with a brand new serger, so I'm going to push those to the side. See, so you can see how this is down, and you can see how sharp those corners are. Those are the results of where we just simply pivoted. See how nice that looks? And then this whole seam gets pressed out into the body of the garment. So I'm just going to walk that around and continue to do that. That'd be a little easier if you had an ironing board, you guys, but it's not a big deal. That shoulder seam gets pressed to the back, so I can kind of feel it and do both of those at the same time. And then same with the back collar. If you put a tag in your garment, that usually typically holds that seam down in place. And then you can start doing the other side also. See, so that's where I pivoted right there, and you can see it's really simple. Again, shoulder seam goes to the back. I'm in good shape. Okay, now I'm going to press my sleeves, and then once I press the sleeves, I've pressed the darts, I've pressed the collar, I've pressed the sleeves. You can sew up the side seam, but I would not recommend you pressing the side seams until you've got these sleeves pressed and pressed. So what you're going to do is you're going to open this up, and the sleeves are going to press out into the body. Don't go into the sleeve, go into the body on a t-shirt. And this is so easy to press when it's flat because it's open, but boy, it's much more complex to press once you've sewn the side seam, which is why I would recommend you press it now. And then just as I press it that way, I put it over the thicker part of the board, and you can kind of pull it. And you can see that as you pull it, it'll lay flat, and I can give it a good press. And it kind of creates that great little line that so many t-shirts have. Okay, and then I can do the other side. Make sure you get the top. Now once this is pressed into place, it won't come back, it'll stay there. You know, the angle and the size of the sleeve and everything keeps that in place. So the t-shirt sleeve is now pressed. Now you can do the side. So that's something, I mean, like I said, I don't necessarily iron after every step, but I would not sew a side seam without doing that seam first, because it's really important to hold it into place. And again, I felt like with this smaller board, I know it feels a little awkward to me. It might look a little awkward, but I really felt you could see better than when we were at the bigger board. So hopefully you can see a little bit better than what we've been able to do in the past. Thursday on webinar, no, Thursday will be the Let's Sew. Thursday will be a Let's Sew. Oh, and I missed a little space right there. I'm going to go back and pick that up. See, that's why you fix it. So that's why you press, because it's a lot easier to fix it now than if it was, than when it was sewn. So I missed that, so I'm going to go back and fix that here in a minute. How large are your closets? Well, let's see. You guys remember, I had 4 children. We all lived in this house that I still live in. So you can count up the rooms and count up the closets. But you know, listen, honestly, you guys know, I give a lot of this away. We donate it. And I donate it, you know, very often we donate it. And it's because of you guys. I mean, you guys are the driving force. So there's a lot of women who have a lot of pretty clothes. And you know what? I'm really feel honored that I can do that. It's lovely. Is this where you sew all the time? No, no, this is not where I sew all the time. And so, but it's going to be, and we'll get it better, because right now it's very awkward, and I haven't had time to really get it to where it's not awkward, but we'll get it there. No, I have a sewing room in one of those rooms that one of my children was in all those years ago. My children are not in that room anymore, and now it's my sewing room. So that's where I sew all the time. And it's really nice because it was where we were doing the webcast, but now we're doing the webcast here. And so we took all the equipment out. Man, I feel like it's the biggest room on the planet. It's not that big a room. It's maybe like 15 by 12. It's not that big. But it's big when you only have a sewing machine left. It's really nice. Okay, so I fixed that little boo-boo, and we've pressed the sleeves, and now what we're going to do is the side seams. So we start at the bottom of the sleeve. I've already got it serged, and I do that because I think it's easier to do it flat. And we're going to put this together, and we're going to go away. And this is very, very easy. And I think, Oh, we're on the same column now. We're at the bottom of that third column. Here we go. And because I do cut my tails before I get too far along, I just cut that off because then I don't have to deal with it anymore. I missed the comment on Thursday sewing. You'll have the clothes made? Well, I won't have them all made. My camping trip's in September, so I decided if I started now, I would make, you know, a few things. I'm not going to make that much, don't get me wrong, but I could start a few things each time. So I have at least one thing ready for Thursday. Again, you guys, it was just fun ideas. Although I did decide to make a new pair of yoga pants. But that's because I didn't want to wear any of the yoga pants I had, because I felt like if I had to go into the lake in my yoga pants, we were doing fly fishing, then I didn't want to wear those yoga pants maybe again. I wanted them to be disposable yoga pants. Okay, so when you just cross that underarm seam, that's when you want to look ahead, come to the bottom, and align the bottom, align the hem of the front and the back. And then you'll see that if you have to stretch a little bit, I mean, it should be a 1-to-1, but you know, sometimes we cut differently, sometimes we sew a little bit, whatever we do. We're just gonna go to town. All right, that's done. Then what I'm gonna do is, because my whole hem is one piece now, I'm going to sew the bottom. I'm just serging the bottom. Again, because it's flat and it's easier to do, I reach in, I cut that little tag off right there. And also I start, this side seam should be pressed to the back, and so I start with the front, so that automatically when I come to it, it will be serged toward the back. And remember that one side is still open. I'm going to do that in a minute. Are you all sewing or are you watching? You sewing with me? Hey Peggy, I'm loving your new iron. How do you like it? I do like it. I like it. I do like it. It's mine. This one in particular is having issues with steaming, but I talked to the people and they're sending a new one. I just feel really bad because I didn't have the new one for tonight. So it's not steaming typically like it's supposed to, but I've talked to so many of you who have them and you love them, and they steam. I've said every one, how does it steam? Because the one I had initially steamed really good. And then I sent that one back and they sent me this one. I'm not sure why, but they did. And this one is having steaming issues. And in dealing with tech, apparently it is the iron. So they're very nice. They're very good company. I like all of that. I think it's really important. I think it's really important to trust the people you're working with, because if you don't, then, oh, trust. Can I talk about that for a second? I forgot about something I was going to mention. I want to explain something, because I think a lot of you don't understand that when we have fabrics, and we sell a lot of fabrics, and you all know that. So that means a lot of times the fabrics move very quickly. So with this new site especially, the inventory, what I loved and appealed to me about the new site was how good the inventory system is. Because there was times when we would sell a fabric that we didn't have because the inventory system. Anyway, this inventory system is very good. So the good news and the bad news is sometimes when you're shopping, and if something's in your cart, and if somebody checks out and has it in their cart and it's gone, it takes it out of your cart. And then sometimes, though, that happens, and a couple days later we have the fabric. And the reasoning for this is because, like I'm looking at a roll of fabric, and that fabric says 28 yards on it. But that fabric, we don't ever put up 28. We'll put up like 24. Because by the time we cut it, and y'all know we do not do it right to the inch of the yard, we don't do that. We give you a little extra. So by the time, depends on how many cuts we have on that roll, that 28-yard roll might only have 22. So we know that, we understand that, and we take the loss. But also on that roll, there might be some flaws that are in that fabric that we can't sell, that we don't know about because it's all wrapped up. So when we put a fabric up and it says 24, it doesn't always mean 24. And so after we do the cutting, because after the orders come in, the guys take them and they cut them all. If there's inventory left, they'll put it back up. So there has been some real misunderstanding about how we operate, and that is how we operate. We don't keep any back. We don't hide it from anybody. We're not trying to inflate prices. We're not trying to do any of that. We're trying to bring you the best fabric at the best price possible. That's it. But understand that there are times when after we get all the cuttings done, there are additional yardages, and we put those yardages back up. It's never very many, you know, sometimes 2. I mean, one time I remember it being 6, and I think it's just because the yardage was marked wrong. But it's never a lot. Okay, so where we're at is we're done except for the hems. All right, so let's go ahead and turn it inside out. And we'll look and see at our new shirt. Yay! Isn't it cute? I want a little body to put it on. I took away my little body. Let's change this person here. We'll change this. Any questions on this one that's on us? Don't you need waters for fly fishing? Your waders, is that what they're called, waters? I'm thinking sewing. Waters are what you put in the corner. Yes, but actually my waders, I don't trust those things. Like, to me, they're going to leak. That's why the yoga pants are inside the waders, because I think they're going to leak. I mean, what waders don't leak, right? Especially, I think well, we won't go there, but anyway. I just think that I just don't want to have a nice pair of yoga pants and then have them leak. So I decided that I would make a pair of yoga pants preparing for the yuckiness. But I also made a new pair of pajamas, but that's another story. Okay, so here we go. Let's put this on. You guys, this is way too much fun. I did not do the hem, but you all know how to do a hem. And you all watched me do a hem many, many times. This is so cute. We'll put a little sleeve in. See, I love that contrasting collar. I think it's adorable. I think it leads the eye up to, you know, your face, so it shows off really cute. Can you see it with a little pair of white capris? Or even a black pair of capris, I think would be adorable. A black pair of pants, whatever. Let me put this around. We'll get this adjusted here. Oh, it's so cute. See those French darts? They're adorable. I did cut this about 2 inches longer because I love my shirts longer. Like the one I have on, I love my shirts longer. Look, you guys. Isn't that adorable? So this collar, it can be worn just scrunched up. It depends on the fabric. It's kind of how I have this one. Just kind of scrunchy, or you can fold it over. And if it's thicker fabric, or just if you like it better, you can just fold it over and it forms, you know, like a little neater. Ah, is that too much fun? Does the top you're wearing have the band at the bottom? No, that's just the fabric, you guys. There's no band at the bottom. I mean, other than the hem. We just turn this up. But see how that red blends in really nicely? I would just turn this up now and top stitch. There's no band at the bottom of mine. There's a little band on the fabric, but I kind of put that at my waist so that it wouldn't be too wide looking. How did you line up the stripes on the collar? Oh, that's a great question. Was this cool, you guys? I had so much fun doing this. So look at this. I was pretty impressed with myself on this. So all you had to do was recognize where this was on the shirt, you know, where the cut came, and then you ended the collar right at that point. That was it. It was really easy to do. I thought about it. I thought it'd be way harder, but it really wasn't. And then these just fell into place. Isn't that cool? Because you don't really see the yoke until you kind of get up to it. The collar just kind of almost comes out of the shirt. I love it. I think that's really cool. Okay? But anyway, lots of different ideas. You can do it in stripes. You can do it in prints. You can do it in combinations. They're all just cute as can be. And you got the fabric numbers for everything, right? I put up some new fabrics today. They're all $11.99. I put them up because they're all great for this. They're all two-way knits. And I think two-way knits are a little easier on the collar. I think the collar feels, I don't know, just like more comfortable. Not if it's two-way, but at least one way. You've got to make sure it has one way. I tried really hard to think, could I do this out of a woven? And you really can't. The collar needs to be knit and the body needs to be knit, both, in this particular case. Okay, any other questions? How are we doing on time? Hey, we're doing really good. Look, you guys see this? I had an email the other day and she said something about she just really wanted to see time and how did I find time to sew? I don't ever look for a big period of time. I'll take 15 minutes. I promise you, if you start sewing 15 minutes, you will be amazed what you get done. You really will. Because you can see that in an hour, I could have just done the collar. I could have just done the French darts, especially if you have a place. If you do not have a place to sew, that is challenging because if every time you're starting to sew and if you're setting it up, your whole time is setup time. So even if you can clear a little spot, a corner in your house where you just keep the sewing machine up, and I mean, a lot of times even when dinner is cooking, you can, just sew a couple French darts, sew the collar, you can see, just sew that part, sew the next part. Things go together so quickly and it's so much fun. I'll wear this tomorrow. I'll put the hem in tonight, but I'll wear it tomorrow. All right, any questions that we can answer at the end? If you've enjoyed it, you could do just a little donation on Fit to Stitch site. You could get a pattern, you could get the series, you could get a black book, you could give more if you want. But don't forget the bear. We want you, when you look in the mirror, to not do what the bear did. We want you to be happy. We want you to, love what you sew and look great in what you sew. And it is a lot of fun. There's the bear. That bear, I'm telling you, it's almost frightful. And I'm the one going camping. Okay. Maybe that's the thing. I'm not taking any mirrors with me at all. All right. Just let me answer a couple questions. You typically use 4-thread stitch for the serger. Yes, 3-thread is only a finishing. Like at the bottom here, because I wasn't sewing this to something else, I could have used a 3-thread. But because there's no reason, that extra thread is not a big deal, so I just use a 4-thread for everything. Use a 4-thread for construction and a 4-thread for finishing, yes. Okay, for knits, yeah, knits and woven, it doesn't differentiate the stitch itself. I've always wanted to learn how to fly fish. I have to live vicariously through you. Please let us know how it goes. Well, I will, but don't hold your breath, okay? Because I have never fly fished before. I just think it looks so beautiful on, National Geographic when they do all that stuff. So I thought, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna try it. I'm gonna follow somebody else's lead, and I'll let you know how wet my yoga pants get. How's that? All right. What is the Black Book? The Black Book, if you go into our videos, it's a collection of 12 DVDs. We call it the Black Book of Sewing. So PBS, one of the offers for PBS is you can get a Black Book and the Series 11 and a free pattern, and it's one price, and it's a very good price. It's all those things together, and it's your shipping included. So if you're in for learning and you can do that via DVD, the Black Book is the way to go. Okay? Okay. All right, so happy sewing the goal. Thank you all so much for being here. It was really fun for us, and we will see you next time. Bye.